Tonight, at exactly 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the final deadline for a tense 16-day military ultimatum expires. President Trump has delivered a final demand to Tehran: fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face a military campaign targeting Iran's power plants and civilian bridges. Iran's response has been an unyielding refusal to comply. It is April 6, 2026. This is the 38th day of Operation Epic Fury, a conflict that has now reached its most critical point. After weeks of posturing and mounting casualties, the crisis has arrived at a moment that can no longer be delayed by extensions or back-channel talks. The first ultimatum was issued on March 21st. The president gave Iran 48 hours to open the shipping lane, threatening to hit their energy grid if they failed to act. That 48-hour window closed without a strike. Over the next 2 weeks, the deadline was pushed back 3 separate times as the administration cited ongoing discussions. This pattern of delays changed on Sunday. In a post on Truth Social, the president used aggressive language to announce that Tuesday would be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, telling Iranian leaders they would be living in hell if they did not yield. However, on that same day, he told Fox News there was a strong possibility of a deal being reached by Monday morning. This shift between threats of total destruction and predictions of diplomatic success has made it impossible for global markets or U.S. allies to predict what will happen at 8 o'clock tonight. Iran's leadership has met the threats with open defiance. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf warned that any American strike would cause the entire region to burn. The Iranian military has also issued a standing counter-threat. If the United States hits their domestic power grid, Iran will retaliate by destroying the energy infrastructure of every American ally in the Gulf. This is not an empty warning. Iranian forces have already successfully struck Kuwait's largest refinery, hit state oil storage facilities in Bahrain, and knocked out the UAE's primary gas facility. This map shows 87 separate attack waves launched from Iran, reaching across 9 countries in just over a month. In those 38 days, Iran downed an American F-15E Strike Eagle and an A-10 Warthog, while hitting 2 Black Hawk helicopters with ground fire. Despite the presence of a massive U.S. naval and air task force, American military presence has failed to stop the expansion of Iranian attacks. Even as the deadline nears, a coalition led by Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan is working urgently to broker a 45-day ceasefire. Oman, which has served as a mediator between the two nations for years, held high-level talks over the weekend to discuss proposals for safe transit through the strait. This chart shows the severity of the closure. Before the war, 130 ships transited the Strait of Hormuz daily. Today, that number has dropped to just 15. Those 15 ships were only able to pass because the Iranian military explicitly granted them permission. By allowing a trickle of traffic, Tehran is demonstrating that it, not the United States, dictates who moves through the world's most critical shipping lane. The first option for the White House is to carry out the strikes. However, international law experts warn that targeting power plants that provide water and heat to millions of civilians would constitute a war crime under the Geneva Conventions. A strike also risks a wider escalation. Iranian officials have stated that any attack on their grid will trigger retaliation against oil infrastructure across the Gulf, a wolf that could draw Yemen's Houthis to block the Bab el Mandeb Strait as well. The second option is to delay again. But with every extension, American credibility diminishes. Market analysts have even coined the term taco, Trump always chickens out, to describe the repeated failure to follow through on these ultimatums. This lack of a clear strategy has fractured the Western alliance. Italy's prime minister has publicly disagreed with the president's approach, and France has now refused to allow American military planes to use its airspace. The third option is a diplomatic settlement. A proposed framework involves Iran agreeing to new nuclear limits in exchange for a fully reopened strait and the lifting of sanctions. For this to work, both sides must find a way to pause the escalation without appearing to have surrendered. This graph shows global oil prices spiking to $111 a barrel, driven by the largest supply disruption in history. Inside Iran, connectivity has plummeted to 1%. The death toll from 38 days of fighting has surpassed 2,000 people. The cost is visible across the region. Missiles have hit residential centers in Haifa, and civilian casualties are mounting from Lebanon to Israel. Globally, fertilizer prices have risen 50%, and families in the Philippines are facing energy rationing as their government can no longer afford full consumption. The decision rests with a president who has spent weeks threatening the total destruction of Iran's energy grid, while simultaneously delaying the strikes he promised. At 8 o'clock tonight, the deadline arrives, and as the countdown reaches its end, there is a